So that was my mentality. So we'll start there. So, but I was like, I got to make money, man. I got to stay afloat. And I was like, I'm going to stay back here with my family because at least I have a place to stay. I have the support from them, financially to some extent, and even mentally with everything going on. So I'm like, yeah, but I got to make money. And so you start thinking, I need to get back to San Diego, but how do I make money? So I decided I'm like, let me apply for some jobs just to make anything. Because I was still training coaching a couple of clients, but that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Right. That wasn't even keeping me afloat, guys. I was drowning. So long story short, I was like, I need to make money. So I called like this landscaping business. I used to landscape for.
Welcome to the top.
Oh, yeah.
We killing annual quotas. It's the 1%er show, in case you haven't noticed.
Welcome to the top. I'm your host, Paul Salamanca, VP of Global Accounts at Security Scorecard. With me, my co-host, Tom Bocard, Senior VP of Sales at Global Data, and our special guest today, Mike Goncalves. So before getting into Mike's official background, let me tell you who Mike really is. So Mike is one of the most genuine and positive people I know. The more time you spend with Mike, you'll soon realize, okay, this person is really 100% genuine and just a great human being. That's who Mike is. So it makes you wonder after hearing his story why life puts such great people sometimes in extremely challenging conditions. So let's fast forward, right? You're traveling the world. If you want to kind of name drop a couple of places you've been, but then let's fast forward to what happens when you get home.
Yeah, I mean, it was, it didn't happen overnight. I had planned it for like 4 or 5 years. I wanted to just take off and go travel the world for 6 months, a year. I didn't know. I just wanted to go, man, and it just stems from, I lost my dad, at a young age when he was 57 and died of cancer. So I'm like, what, life's short, man. I've always had the mentality just to go after what you want, but that just fast forwarded it that much faster. So I started planning for that. Like, that's going to happen sooner than later. So I just started planning for like, hey, how do I do that? How do I create that? Well, it's like starts with paying off debt, saving money, getting a couple of clients where I can coach from anywhere in the world, which I did. And so that's what I created. I'm like, I'm going to do that. So it took me 4 years to get there, right? So finally, here I am. I finally, I traveled the world, literally around the world. And, we went to like, I think I started off in Italy with some friends there for a week. So I did, Italy for like a month, went over to Indonesia, to Bali, to Thailand, to Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, Portugal, like literally around the world. The job was just literally on me. I saved up enough money. I had a coaching practice where I could coach people from wherever I was. And so there was money coming in as I was traveling. And, so it wasn't always easy. I'd find myself, little village in Tuscany somewhere where I was in a closet trying to take a, call with a client. Wi-Fi sucked. And I was just like, yeah, so tell me about, if you've traveled that long, you realize it sounds glamorous, and it is. Although living out of a suitcase for that long and constantly on the go, it gets exhausting, man. So we cut it short, maybe a couple of months, but it was 6 months total. You get home, you're finally like, hey, man, you're traveling this whole time, making plans for the future, what you're going to do, individually, together. That's the conversations you have. That didn't work out. That's just the way it is. It didn't work out. So we get back, and she went to Oklahoma, and she decided that she was going to do her own thing. And then, that was a 5-year relationship, and all of a sudden it's just gone like that. And, you try to work it out, it didn't work out. So I find myself, that just derails you. So you're back. I have no place. The goal is to get back to San Diego with someone, and all of a sudden, 2 people, you just plan for one thing. And if you're in a relationship, 5 years, you get crushed. Dude, that part of my friends, that fucks you up mentally. Maybe it's my cue that you belong back here with your family and stuff. So, and I was like, if that's going to happen, it's going to happen because I decided proactively to stay, not because circumstances dictated my fate to stay. So that was my mentality. So we'll start there. So, but I was like, I got to make money, man. I got to stay afloat. And I was like, I'm going to stay back here with my family because at least I have a place to stay. I have the support from them, financially to some extent, and even mentally with everything going on. So I'm like, yeah, but I got to make money. And so you start thinking, I need to get back to San Diego, but how do I make money? So I decided I'm like, let me apply for some jobs just to make anything. Because I was still training coaching a couple of clients, but that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Right. That wasn't even keeping me afloat, guys. I was drowning. So long story short, I was like, I need to make money. So I called like this landscaping business. I used to landscape for back when I was 16, 17, 18.
Wow.
And again, the owner was a super good friend of my dad's, and, my dad had passed, they were close. I'm like, hey man, I need a job. And, the guy thought I was crazy. I'm like, wait a minute, I know you went to grad school I know you have a master's. I know you have this business. You live out in San Diego. You just travel the world, and you want to come work landscaping for me for $16 an hour. And guys, FYI, there's nothing wrong with landscaping. I think it's a fantastic profession. That's just not what I want to do. He gave me a job. I think he felt bad for me. Gave me a job, and there I was going out to landscape. You know, it was during December, 22 fucking degrees out, freezing my ass off. I'll never forget, dude. I had gloves on, blowing like for 8 hours. It's one thing when you go outside and shovel the snow, right, for 30 minutes, and you're freezing. 8 hours out in a cold, you know, moving shrubs, planting this, moving rocks. You know, your hands are freezing. If you ever work out in 22-degree weather, it sucks. Well, whatever. I did that. But you know what? It kept me afloat. It kept me positive. I kept thinking, at least I'm making money. And during that time, guys, I was still reaching out to people, my connections in San Diego. Like, hey, guys, I'm looking to come back. Do you know of anything? Can I get this position, that position? Of course, there was thoughts. I'm like, dude, what if you don't get back to San Diego? What are you going to do? What are you going to do for money? What are people going to think about you, your friends, your family? And this is all happening in front of your family. You know, here's this guy, your son, you're proud of, and this is happening in front of the family where you got broken up with, you're broke, you're sleeping on the sofa, you're trying to get back to San Diego, you can't. So yeah, your mind's pretty effed up at the time. So, but what kept me going, right? What kept me going? Honestly, guys, is I just did the one thing I had control over at this point. I fucking went outside and I'd go for a run. And I'll never forget, dude, this is ingrained in my head forever. I'd go down this, you know, nice freaking road, all trees, and I would just run and cry my eyes out. But I knew if I ran, like it just, you know, it's like the whole idea of like, you know, movement changes your mindset. So I'm like, I can't stay in that house. I'm going to go crazy. So I'd go out and run, and listening to positive stuff. And that kept me fired up. Okay, go home. And then I'd reach out to a couple more people. So to answer your question, Paul, that's what I did. What did I do? I ran, listened to positive stuff. When that shit wanted to come in my head, what if you have to stay? What if you can't do it? No bullshit. And I would just stop it, go for the run, and listen to that stuff, and then take action. Nothing happened. Dude, I did that for like weeks, months, nothing. And that's when you just had to keep telling yourself, keep going. You know, I've read a lot of books, guys, and they say success leaves clues. And I kind of just took a leap of faith on that. Like if I've read hundreds of books and they all say, dude, when the going gets tough, just keep going. Like, I'm just going to do what I've read to do. And even so many times I'm like, I don't even know what that means, dude.
Right.
Like, keep going till when? Still there.
I can relate, man. There comes a time where you may know intellectually what people have said in the past, what people have written about. You may believe it, but you have to prove it to yourself.
I had tapped all resources, man. I was tapping people that I hadn't talked to in like forever. I mean, we're talking, it's just, you know, it's kind of embarrassing sometimes, you know, like, you know, ex-girlfriend and just like everyone that I knew perhaps could help me. And it all led to an empty road. I mean, just when you thought you had something going, it was like, nah, you know, they already hired someone. Like, you know, like I was trying everything, changing my resume, just everything I could, and nothing was happening. So at that point, that got really tough. That's when shit got discouraging. I'm like, I have a nice network. Nothing was happening for me. So what I just, man, that was a differentiator. And I remember going for a run that one day, again, crying my eyes out. And I'm like, you're not done, dude. You're not done. What else can you do? Even though I knew there was nothing, I'm like, what else can you do? So there was this company. I'm like, well, I think I saw like a couple of job openings. Same job opening, but just like listed differently. So I realized, I went back and I noticed it was two different recruiters.
Wait, so you applied for this job before?
I applied for this job, got freaking, you know, didn't go anywhere. We had one call, didn't go anywhere. So I'm like, but I think there's a match there. I think what I can do, they could use me. So I noticed it was a different recruiter. So I actually reached out to the other recruiter, sent her my stuff, and for whatever reason, she liked me. We connected, went to that first call. She moved me to the next step. Did all my virtual interviews, and they gave me a job. So the company that told me no, wow. I was, you know, till this day, I don't know why I decided to do that. I just decided I wasn't going to give up. Something had to give, and that's how I ended up getting a gig that brought me back to San Diego.
Isn't that crazy, dude? And that moment where you were about to give up, you just kept asking yourself, what else could I do?
Yeah. When I knew there was like...
And you went back to the same company that rejected you and got the job from a different person. That is amazing.
That's sick, dude.
That's awesome. Dude, that's top 1% shit.
When you've been through shit and you've got through it, you realize when you're there again, you can believe that it's just a matter of time before it changes.
Love
so
it.
While I found myself there, it's like, dude, I just have to weather the storm.
Love it.
I know it's good. Like like I always say, like, I can't control the conditions, the circumstances. I just can't. But I can control what I do and
No
how
doubt.
I feel and what I focus on and so that's what I did, guys. Keep serving, keep believing, having this coffee meeting, and then the rest is history, you know?
As Mike says, don't stop. As tempting as it is to stop, regardless of what you're going through, take that next step. So it may not be the path you envisioned, and most probably won't. But that's the beauty of God. That's the beauty of life. It will surprise you with how you got to where you wanted to always be. And as a wise man, Nas, once said, why shoot the breeze about it when you could be about it?
Welcome to the top.
Oh, yeah.
We killing annual quotas. It's the 1%er show, in case you haven't noticed.